تفضل دكتور.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله ومن والاه. All praise is due to Allah. Peace and blessings be upon His messenger and all those who stand in support behind him. In fact, today I have just some reflections on the verses that we were reciting. It is a combination of reciting and a kind of reflecting on the verses that we have been reading so far, which is the place that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised, that when people come together reciting and studying the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels will surround them and tranquility will fall on them and mercy of Allah will cover them. And moreover, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention them among the angels around him. So it is a blessed place, although we are virtually sitting in one place, but we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the benefit of feeling that we are together. We are together, in fact, but with some wireless connection. So just trying to point some of the verses that I just was taking points of them. One of the verses talks about fighting. And that verse in page 33 أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين من قبلكم مستهم البأساء الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. Jannah is dear, and people who want to go to Jannah needs to pay for it. Hell is very cheap, and it is very easy for anyone to reach there. As the Prophet ﷺ told us, حفت النار بالشهوات. The hell is being surrounded with desires. So anyone can find his desire and can enter through these desires into hell. It's very easy. However, Jannah has been surrounded بالمكاره, with difficulties, that one doesn't like to go through these difficulties. But this is how Jannah is. It is surrounded by difficulties. So one has to sacrifice and penetrate and go through these difficulties to enter Jannah. And this verse, أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة. Do you reckon or do you think that you will enter into Jannah? ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم. Without passing through the way that the previous ummah, the previous people before you entered or went through. All the previous nations went through this path of struggling and going through difficulties. So what happened to the previous people? مستهم البأساء والضراء. They were touched by calamity and difficulties and harm. And they were shaken, not very little, but to the extent that the messenger and those who were with him, they were pleading to Allah, متى نصر الله? Where is the victory? They believe there is a victory, but where it is? That was the problem. Where is that victory? We have been shaken. We have been going through lots of difficulties and calamities. and yet the victory hasn't come. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. The victory is very easy, very near. Just patience. So struggle by itself, it will take you some steps, but patience is an important factor. Continue with your struggle. Continue facing these difficulties and trying to break these difficulties and reach the objective, the target. أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. So this was one of the verses. By the way, I made a correction for the brother who was reading. حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ. He said at the beginning, حَتَّى يَقُولُ الرَّسُولُ. Yes, it is one of the readings. Yes, حَتَّى يَقُولُ الرَّسُولُ, one of the readings. But in Hafs, the copy we have, or the reading we have, حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ, just to be consistent with the recitation that we are reading through. But حَتَّى يَقُولُ is not wrong. It is one of the readings. So this one of the verses. Another verse, which is after that, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ, in page 34, verse 216. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ. Fighting has been written for you. Some scholars say that when the word kutibat means it is fard. Although here it doesn't mean fard. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ. It was written for you. Is it supposed that everyone should fight? No, it is not. If there is a fighting, then people should be concerned with that fighting, should join, but not necessarily all of them. Because the Quran, in another verse, is telling us that وَمَا كَانَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لِيَنْفِرُوا كَافَّةً. Not all believers should go for fighting. Why? They have other things to do. One of the things that is mentioned, that they go for learning, for studying and learning, and going back to their people, warning them. So as if that is equivalent to fighting as well. And in our days, we find that it's not just fighting, is mean fighting in the battlefield, but fighting also can be in different areas. Those who are in the factories, working hard in their jobs, substituting for the ones who left their work and joined the troops, the front lines, those also are fighting. And the Prophet ﷺ told us in one of the battles that there are brothers for you. Whenever you go through a valley and do some activities of warring or battling, your brothers there in Medina, they are joining or participating with you in that war. However, they were prevented of joining you because they have reason. حبسهم العذر. So once the sincerity is there, and you are doing a job that will support the people who are in the battlefield, then you are joining in that battle. So كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ. However, qital is there. That's why some people say it is fard kifaya. People should join that battle, that war, in enough number and means to make sure that they will win the battle. So it is fard kifaya. If there's enough people and enough means to confront the enemies, then it is okay. It's not necessarily everyone should go. However, the others who are not joining should not be playing as if they are not concerned with it, but they are doing job that will support the people in the battlefield. Now we come to a verse. We pass through it quickly. يسألونك, which is verse 219 in page 34, 219. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will ask you about khamr and maisir. Maisir, gambling. Khamr, anything that will cover the brain, that will make one unconscious. Alcohol, drugs, all these are considered as khamr. And gambling, and maisir. So the answer came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his Prophet. Tell them that there is a big sin. فيهما إثم كبير. There is in these khamr and maisir, there is a big sin. However, there are some benefits for people. But the sin is greater than the benefit. So what one can understand from this? Khamr and maisir, there is a big sin, but there is some benefit. Some people will how to balance between the benefit and the sin. Can we, at this stage, can we consume khamr and play maisir, gambling, if we are gaining benefit, although there is some sin? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Ghafur Rahim. No, this verse, in fact, it was a kind of misunderstood. Some companions continued to have khamr. Now, the point is not giving the ruling about khamr. The point is how the revelations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was revealed to his prophet and propagated to the people. The verses did not come from the blue. It didn't come as haphazard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the whole Quran all together in one time. So the Quran is there before the start of the revelation. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. So the whole Quran is there. You can say it is like a puzzle. There are different pieces, and you put the pieces together to make that puzzle. The whole piece, when you put all the pieces, yes, the whole story is there. The whole picture is very clear. The way it was sent down, it was sent into different pieces. So this was a question to the Prophet. What about khamr or maisir? Are they okay or not okay? The answer was, فيهما إثم كبير. There is a big sin, but there are some benefits. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the whole Quran, there are some other verses that came later. Another verse came later, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى. Do not come to the prayers while you are intoxicated. Then after that, a verse came, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون. So the verses came in gradually, in some more emphasis each time. The picture in the whole Quran is there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ultimate objective is to forbid al-khamr. But the way it was dealt with, it was dealt into different pieces. Even there was a verse before this one. وَمِنْ ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ تَتَّخِذُونَ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا. From the fruits of vine trees and palm trees, you get a kind of intoxicant and good provision. Although the word sakaran was interpreted in different ways, but one of the interpretation is intoxicant and good provision, which means that intoxicant was contrasted against good provision, which means the intoxication itself is bad. However, it was very, very mild way of pointing to khamr or to intoxicant as bad. Now it is more emphasis that there's a big sin, but there are benefits. Then after that, a kind of stopping it. Don't come to the prayers while you are under the effect of khamr. Then after that, shun it. It is a filth of shaitan. It's a work of shaitan. Keep away from it. Don't deal with it, neither drinking, nor handling, nor selling, nor buying, nor giving a gift in any way, or don't even send the material, raw material for making khamr. So anything to do with the process of khamr is forbidden. Fajtanibu. Not just as haram, don't drink it, but keep away from it. Even sitting beside somebody who is drinking, don't do that. Although you are not drinking it, but this is also forbidden. Fajtanibu. Keep away from it. So this is a kind of a hint how to understand the Quran. You cannot understand the Quran from just reading one part, one verse, and say this, oh, this verse say that. We should take this verse within the context of the whole Quran and understand what are the different themes in the Quran. Where is the Quran is pointing at the end? If we understand that, then understanding the different verses becomes much easier. The revelation of the Quran, as well as the explanation and interpretation of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
دكتور أحمد الإنترنت مالته
frozen.
Sorry?
We had you frozen for a couple of seconds.
Oh, is it okay now?
It's okay now. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah.
Frozen again, Dr. Saad.
I spoke too soon. دكتور أحمد مرة ثانية الإنترنت frozen. حسيت المرة الثانية. Just to mention one thing يعني دكتور هاشم دكتور أحمد you are muted.
Yeah. I think I lost the connection, I think.
Yeah, you did. And what the last thing you said is that the Quran was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in stages.
Yeah.
And that's where we lost you.
Okay. So to understand the Quran, I mean to understand the target of each verse, we need to understand the target of the whole Quran. So having one verse, because the verses came, for instance, that one, يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر. They will ask you about khamr and gambling. It means that it is coming for a certain occasion. There is a question or there is a situation that needs clarification. The verses were coming. However, they are not coming haphazard and without being connected to something in the future, because the whole picture is there in the Quran, and it is like the different pieces of a jigsaw. We take one piece is sent. However, that will make more sense when it comes with the other pieces. But that piece is enough for that occasion. For that question, when they ask about Khamr and Maisir, it was enough to say there is a big sin and there's some benefits. Later, some other verses came. And later also some other verses came to say that keep away from Khamr and Maisir. Many other verses also should be understood in this way. You cannot say, oh, the Quran said this. Yeah, well, what else the Quran says? What the Prophet ﷺ said also. So this is how we can understand our religion from the basic sources. The basic sources is the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the consensus. I think, yeah, now I came to the verse, page 35 to 21. I think this one that I stopped that I thought
There is something in that verse that keep interrupting your internet.
كيف حالك دكتورنا؟
يا مرحبتين، يا أهلا وسهلا.
عساك
يا
بخير
مرحبتين.
دكتور.
الحمد لله والشكر لله.
عساكم بخير جميعا.
جزاك الله ألف خير.
والله مشكلة هذه، مش عارف ليش النتورك.
What I said, Dr. Ahmed, the verse itself must be jinking you really.
يعني تعمل انترفيرنس مع الانترنت يعني. نعم. ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمنوا ولا أمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولو أعجبتكم. The same is for ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمنوا. This is about the polytheists, the mushrik, a woman that is mushrik. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, don't marry them. And even to make a bad picture of the mushrik woman, the maid, if it is a believer, is better than that mushrik woman, even if you admire that mushrik woman for whatever reason. The same for men, the mushrik men. Don't give them the Muslim women for marriage until they become believers. And the slave man is better than a mushrik man, even if you admire that man, if you look high to him. Unfortunately, this happens in many countries. You will find the president of this country who is not a Muslim married to a Muslim woman. I remember that since a long time, Nikrom, I think, from Renia or whatever country, was married to a Muslim woman. In Nigeria, a long time ago, somebody told me that the president yes, he is not a Muslim, but he is married to a Muslim woman, as if is making him better. So this is prohibited, forbidden. Some people now, they are reiterating this issue. They say even the Muslim woman can marry non-Muslim man, which is incorrect. Here it is very clear: do not marry the mushrik woman for the man, and for the women, Muslim women, do not marry the mushrik man. Now, how come that the Muslim can marry people from the a woman from the people of the book? Because there is a clear verse in another surah saying that اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامهم حل لكم والمحصنات من المؤمنات, the believing women, you can marry them, والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم, and the
Allah, so unfortunate, the internet of Dr. Ahmed, and he was reciting Surat Al-Ma'idah, I think. يسألونك ماذا أحل له. اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام. ننتظر والله كريم. شلونك يا أبو عبد الرحمن؟
حبيبنا دكتور، الحمد لله، الله يرضى عليك.
تفضل دكتور أحمد.
مشكلة.
We had an interruption.
No.
You were saying that there's a clear separation between the people of the book and the mushrikeen. And because in Surah Al-Ma'idah, it was permitted that you marry the muhsanat min alladhina utul kitab min qablikum.
Yeah, that permission was made for the Muslim man to marry a woman from the people of the book. And it is very clear, it is not for anyone Muslim to marry any person from the people of the book. It is only for a Muslim man to marry a woman from the people of the book. That verse still standing. I mean, the first verse, ولا تنكحوا المشركات ولا تنكحوا المشركين, still standing. لا أمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولا أعجبتكم, still standing. And ولا عبد مؤمن خير من مشرك ولا أعجبكم, still standing. What is changed? Is there a permission for the Muslim to marry from the people of the book? Still, the Muslim woman better, Muslim even maid is better than the mushrik, even if you like. However, the Muslim man is permitted, but doesn't mean that he is permitted because the non-Muslim or the woman from the people book is something high. No, the Muslim maid is better than the woman, whatever high rank she is, but she is not Muslim. So these verses should be woven together. Doesn't mean that this is abrogated and that is something new. This one is still standing, and the other one still standing. There is page 36. The page 36 and even the page after that is talking about divorce. And we see how divorce is well tackled by the Quranic verses. It is not something easy, just divorce and that's it. Everyone will go in his way. There are rights, mutual rights, and everyone should have his right. And you will find the verses emphasizing the importance of the bond through marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that in previous or in Surat Al-Nisa, وَأَخَذْنَ مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. It is a strong, heavy bond. So it is not something easy. So what the verse 228 says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. Divorced women should have a kind of waiting for three periods. Now, quru has two meanings. Three periods, or finishing from the period. So at the end, doesn't make much difference. Slight difference, but at the end, still the same. So any woman, when they are divorced, has to wait 3 periods. I'm not sure about zawaj al-mut'a, how they do that.
I think we better not discuss it.
Not to discuss it, yeah. I mean, it is not, because zawaj al-mut'a is nothing mentioned about it in the Quran.
No, of course not.
Unless there is misinterpretation of one of the verses, but nothing, when it say marriage, talks about the real marriage.
Yeah.
So any divorce, a woman should wait for 3 periods.
Jazakallah khair.
Then after that, الطلاق مرتان. Divorce is 2 times. Either end or keep. Yeah, they can come back or they end the marriage. However, the first verse is still standing. After each of these, after each divorce, the woman has to wait 3 periods. During these 3 periods, they can come back or waiting and end that period, that term. After the first time, they can come back. However, they need another contract. If the 3 periods finished, then they need another contract. But before that, they can come back to each other. That can be repeated only twice. After each one, either separate or come back. Then if there is another divorce, separate or come back. The third one, there is no coming back. Unless another marriage happens, that woman is married to somebody else. After that marriage, they can come back. Now, there are some scholars say that if you make divorce 3 times altogether, then full separation. But this is not in the verses here. The verses say that after each divorce, there is a period of waiting, of 3 men's periods. So this is the way divorce is described. Making it 3 times or 10 times in one go, still one divorce, and has to wait 3 times and so on. Although there are some differences about that, but this is what we understand from the Quranic text. Did we reach the end of?
Inshallah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the grandchildren of granddaughters. of أقبال. تفضل انهي يا شيخ.
نعم. Now, I mean, this page all about divorce, that it is 2 times It's not all in one go, but each one إمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. The second one and the last one, third one, after that, finished, totally finished. They cannot come back. Then the page after that, talking about the mutual rights and how to deal with the women. If they have rights, they should give their rights. Do not hold them to put pressure on them to avoid giving them their rights. Even for the guardians, if sometimes some guardians of the women, they will say, they will be so proud that when the husband comes back, they will say, no, finish. Now Allah is saying that no, if they can have mutual understanding and agreement again, let them go back to each other, and so on. So divorce is not a game, like some people think that Muslims just divorce and that's it. It's very important to keep the rights of the woman. In non-Muslim countries, they don't have that. They don't have, the way of handling the divorce itself and the way of making sure that the women are not being wronged. This is some of the verses that I just had some reflection on them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the guidance and to give us the understanding and to give us more opportunities to reflect on his verses and his communications to us.
Jazakallah khair,
Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair. If there is any quick question to Dr. Ahmed, please feel free. Otherwise, I'll ask him to conclude the meeting, inshallah. تفضل دكتور. إذا ممكن تختم لنا.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. See you inshallah next Saturday. Hopefully everyone inshallah will be in good health and
inshallah. We may have to change the time again because the Maghrib is moving very
coming
fast.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll let you know. I'll discuss with Sheikh Muhsin. Next week, inshallah, Dr. Professor Mo'el will be giving us a reminder. Jazakumullah khair jaza. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.